The jumbo is no longer an investment bag. Hey everyone, have I got a video for you? This I think is going to be really interesting, and in a way, well, I actually think it obliterates the whole investment bag thing that is spoken about on social media. And so I've been doing YouTube since 2013, and I've been talking about investment bags the whole way through, because to me, an investment bag is two things. It is a bag that the brand will always make, and therefore you can buy it knowing that it's never going to date and it's never going to go out of trend. And that, I think, is one really big thing when you are spending this kind of money on these bags. You don't want to buy something that ends up dating, do you? Like, you don't want to end up losing your money and then you've got something you don't really enjoy wearing. But also, an investment bag is a bag whereby you can put your money into it and know your money is safe. You can put your money into it and you can know that if you ever decided to sell the bag, at the very least you would break even and get back the money that you paid, and ideally you would make a bit of a profit. And I'm going to speak about Chanel actually, because they've had another price increase, I think in the last week. They had one in November last year, which they always have. Then they did another one in January at the beginning of this year, and they've just had another one in March this week just gone. And what that has done to the pre-loved market and what it has done to the resale value, I think is the complete opposite of what they would have hoped, because I do feel that by putting up their prices, I know people have been speaking about this, but I do feel, are they possibly trying to follow in the footsteps of Hermes, who can put up their prices, but the difference is with Hermes, they put up their prices and the price of those bags pre-loved goes up with it, and people actually buy them, people actually spend that money. But with Chanel, I think you're going to be interested in this. This is crazy. So this week, the price increase. This is how much we're looking at for these bags. The first bag is the large, so it's the jumbo size classic flap. That bag now costs a whopping £7,475. Then you've got the medium size, which costs nearly 7,000. This is 6,930. Then there is the small size, which is 6,500. It's 6,510. And then you have the two mini size bags, which I stand by is still saying they are worth getting, and in this video I'm going to explain to you how they are the only bags now, plus the business affinity, from Chanel that will make you a profit, or at the very least will give you return on investment. You're going to be amazed. Let's talk about the jumbo. The jumbo, I have the jumbo in the largest size. I bought it back in 2016 for £4,500. I would absolutely not pay over 5,000 for it. I definitely would not pay 7,000 or even 6,000 if I was going to spend that money. I'm not a big lover of Hermes bags, but I get it. I would rather go and buy the Constance, which is the only Hermes bag that I do really like, and I would go for that, but I don't like it enough to go and play some games to get it. Separate video. If we look at Preloved, I'm going to give you some examples of how the price increases, instead of increasing the value of these bags pre-loved, they've actually had the complete opposite effect. And I think that is something that Chanel, by putting up their prices, okay, they don't want any of us making money on their stuff, but I think they wanted to follow in Hermes's footsteps, and that here is where we're seeing a really massive difference here, like a complete valley when it comes to the price of Hermes and the price of Chanel pre-loved. The jumbo, I've got a couple of examples here. I've been saying to you all for quite a long time, if you want to get a jumbo, even if you want a newer one, go pre-loved, because you can find them for in the £4,000 mark. Can you believe it? Here we've got an example, and by the way, this example and most of the examples I'm showing you are prices of things that have actually sold, because I want to show you what things have sold for, not what people list them for and hope to get. This bag has sold for exactly £4,500. That I think is a fantastic deal, and that actually is exactly what I paid in 2016. So my ability now to make a profit on that bag, which if I go back 4 years I could have made a really decent profit on it. That possibility, that door is now closed. The jumbo is no longer an investment bag. If you ask me, it's no longer. You cannot get 7,000 for it pre-loved. You can't even get 6,000 or 5,000 for it pre-loved. 4,500 is around about it. Now I have one other jumbo to show you because it's not sold, it is available, and I'm going to link to this below because when I saw it I thought this is a really good deal for any of you who want to get a jumbo, and it's been reduced, which is a telltale sign that the price it was up for was not a price that was achievable or a price that people were willing to buy it for, so the seller has had to reduce it. This bag is currently 4,665, and I bet you could make an offer and get it for 4,500 on that one. It looks like it's been around for a while. As I say, it's already been reduced. I think if I was going to buy a jumbo now, that would be the kind of price that I would look to get, and I think that's a fantastic deal. And as I mentioned, I'm going to link to that bag below for any of you who want to go and take a look at it. Let's move on to the medium. The medium and the small, you would think you could make money on those two bags, and you could. A couple of years ago, you lost money on the jumbo, but you made money on the medium and the small. I cannot believe how much this has changed. Here is a couple of examples. I have found a couple of medium bags in the black. The first one sold for 4,518. That's a really big drop from the current price. The second one sold for, whoever got this got an amazing deal, £3,110. And I found a coral one. It's not classic because of the colour, but for any of you into coloured bags, this one actually went for £2,677. So it's worth you having a look. Okay, so how can you make money? Two ways. The first way is to look at the mini rectangle, the mini square, or the business affinity. They are the only three bags currently from Chanel, despite the price increases, that actually are making money. If we start off with the rectangle, the square, and all of these bags, to get them in black, they can be quite hard to get your hands on. The rectangle, the square, and the business affinity, if you want to get those in black, it's really difficult. I have the rectangle, the mini rectangle, that took me 2 years to get. The mini square in black, I couldn't get it at all, so I've bought the vintage. And I have the business affinity, but I have it in like a really nice pale pink. The rectangle is £3,360 at the new price. That's an increase of £110, so it's not thousands. If you look at how much these are pre-loved, I've got one here that's gone for £3,875. I've also found another which has sold for a really big £4,200. And I think the reason for it is, with these smaller size bags, there are more people out there that know the money that they have to drop to get these bags. There are more people out there that are able and willing to spend in the 3,000s than there are people that are able and willing to spend £7,000. And I think that's the difference here. I think you've got a bigger market of people who think 3,000 is nuts, but 7,000 is a joke. And therefore, I think you've got more people in that market who are willing to buy. The square is another great one. I found one here that sold for £3,457.74. Business affinity does so well. Oh, it does so well. This one has gone for £4,075.98. That bag, by the way, business affinity, is £3,400 if you can get hold of it. So a really big profit there. So that's what it's done to pre-loved new items. What's it done to pre-loved vintage? Well, it's had the complete opposite effect. The price of vintage has gone through the roof. There is almost a kudos now, I feel, associated with buying vintage and also a kudos associated with how old is the bag that you got. And it's almost like the older the bag, the more cool it is. Plus as well, I think a lot more people are conscious of the environment, of reusing things. But there is something lovely about owning a bag that someone else has had and someone else has enjoyed. And there's also something about the way the leather starts to feel on them. The leather starts to feel lovely. It's like a dream. I have got two of the classic vintage bags. I've got the mini square. This I bought in 2021 for £1,800. And this one I bought at the beginning of this year for £3,600. This bag, if you get it pre-loved, is now around 4,200. This is over 2,000. Both of these bags have shot up in value. I know some of you, briefly to say, I know some of you have said, yeah, I like the idea of vintage, but I don't like that the quilting's flat. Do you know, I wonder, can someone please let me know? I think that the quilting must have been flat when these bags were new, because I've got a couple now, as you've seen, of vintage bags, and even on the corners where they won't have had much, well, they haven't had much wear, it's not like the quilting there is puffy and the rest of the bag's flat. It's like the quilting on the whole bag's flat. So when I look at it, it feels like even back in the day, maybe the puffy quilting is a newer thing, is what I think. But anyway, two bags there. Vintage has gone through the roof. So what do we think of these price increases, and how do you think Chanel might be feeling in terms of kudos and raising the brand by raising prices, but the cost or the price of these things pre-loved are going down? I know Chanel probably, well, I doubt Chanel want any of us to be making a profit on any of their stuff, but I feel as though if I was raising prices and if it was having the complete opposite effect, if the desirability of these bags has gone down to a point where people are saying, I'm not going to pay that money for it, has that had the complete opposite effect of what they probably wanted it to? When it comes to price increases, I don't have a massive opinion on them because they happen anyway, so it's no great surprise, and I don't really I just don't really have a massive opinion because they happen anyway. When it comes to the percentage of price rise, again, none of us really have any control over it, and yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. But I'm more curious as to how, or more interested as to how it's affected things pre-loved, and for any of you into any of these bags. The same thing goes for Dior. Oh my god, the Lady Dior has dropped like a stone pre-loved since that price went up. I think it's so fascinating that the only bags that seem to be holding their own pre-loved are Hermes, and I think that's really telling when it comes to these brands' price increases, and possibly the desirability. More of us may still want the bag, but we're not willing to pay the money. So from a desirability point of view, I think it's had a really big impact. But anyway, as I've mentioned, share with me what you think. I'm now going to go and talk to you in the comments.